All right. Let's talk about this great film that surprised me. I had no idea. I don't watch trailers. I like to pleasantly be surprised. And then the great thing about this is that I'm wondering if I ever met your dad. I'm like, I don't think I met him, but I knew the history. So I got two big surprises on that: death and taxes and family relationship. Who would have known? Did you know you were going to direct this?
I didn't, I didn't really. This all didn't come together until 2017. I shot a lot of footage of my parents in the 90s and beyond because that's what I do, and I was actually starting to make a film about them and their relationship. Uh, and taxes kind of came into play there when my mom decided she didn't want to be in Florida, and my dad insisted that that had to happen because that's where the taxes were lowest. Um, so that was one of the instigating parts of the drama in their lives. But uh, I kind of put that aside because I wanted to help negotiate their relationship as a son, and I didn't want to keep making a film about their breakup. And then in 2017, when I saw that the estate tax might well disappear, I said, I want to explore this. But nobody would talk to me about their estates because nobody wants to talk about money in this country. Um, I realized that I had this footage and that it would be interesting to make it a personal film.
I thought it was great when you could have Grover Lindquist on, and then you could have it on and on. I'm like, good for him, because you get a whole different scenario. Then, going to the 80s, 90s, right up to the last 2 years. Very interesting. I haven't seen anybody else do that except for you. So congratulations on that.
Thank
Because
you.
I pay attention to those things. And the reason I grew up in Connecticut, why I didn't move to Florida, it wasn't about, what they didn't have. It's like, I want to go to West. I want to be the West Coast guy. I want to go 3,000 miles away. And I was out there on my own, but I did my own thing, and I'm glad that I did. But I understood what your mom was talking about, because if I was forced to go someplace that I didn't want to, it doesn't work well, especially how she grew up. And I could understand where your dad was coming from because of how he grew up, and he explained it very well.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thanks. Well, that's key. I really feel that a good film documentary, even if it's about an issue, needs to be told through people's, experiences. And so I really feel like the fact that people can, no matter where they come from or what background, can um, watch this and understand something from their own lives. Yeah.
Was it hard to get them? It's always, I always tell people, it takes an average of 7 years to do a documentary. You got to get the money, you got to get the people, you got to get the rights. Then there might be the music aspect of things, and then there's this good piece of work that people think, oh, it only took a year to do. Not so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's, the more I make films, the more I appreciate great films because it's just so hard to make a good film, let alone a great film. There's so many people involved, but also, it's a real collaboration. And so it took this took me a long time, but also, this because it mixes this kind of very personal and taboo subject, it was hard for me, and stressful, and but as I've said, I've made films for almost 35 years now, and so many of them are about other people and other people's, who are in need, and that's kind of the documentary tradition. But it's so rare that people talk about their own privilege, and I thought it was important that I give it a try.
Well, you did an excellent job. I have this rating system that me and my co-host, who's no longer with us, we came up with it in the early '90s, called the Four E's. A good movie, a good book, good CD, it's got to have that. Yours is educational, it's emotional, it's empathetic, and it's engaging. And it's because it's about your family, but it's also about how you grew up. I could so relate to what you were talking about, having that dominant dad and you just want to go out and do the thing, but he's such a dominant force, but also having the secretary to back it up. and when you have, not a Clive Davis, but, a couple other people, when the Japanese tell you you're a little bit too much, that says something because of their work ethic. I go, you can't get any perfect than this.
Yeah, I mean, my dad is such a great character. Besides his like amazing good looks, he's just so open and so reflective about his own emotions. He could be angry and fly off the handle, but then step back and kind of think about what caused him to do that. And that makes him interesting. And the fact that he and I have different opinions and could express them, I feel was just a natural way into the subject.
Absolutely. So it's opening this weekend, right?
It's
Talk
opening
about
Thursday,
that
actually.
finally. How
Yeah.
satisfying is that for you? Because it's not easy the way everything has gone these days. I go back to the junket days, to the early mid '90s, when every day, at the Four Seasons in Beverly Hills, we'd be doing everybody, the old Miramax, Orion, you name it, Fox. It wasn't a Fox Searchlight then, but they were like one of the last little independents left. We don't have that these days. So I always tell everybody, show your support by going to the theaters to watch those independent films. Be
Oh, I lost you there for a sec.
the blockbusters. No, independents. I call theaters closed. Everybody needs to go out. Needs to go out to support that.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, hold on. You've frozen. I don't know if that's a problem. Um,
I can hear you.
okay, good.
What was the last thing you
Yeah,
heard?
you were saying that everybody needs to come out and support independent film. Um, uh, hold on one second. I
Yeah,
wonder,
and with
opening this.
5,000 movie theaters closed, that's not good.
Yeah, I mean, the 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 system has collapsed. I mean, for better or for worse, things are changing, and I'm sure that there's some upside to it too. But getting a film into the theaters with people is hard. But when I see my film, this film in particular, with an audience, you really appreciate, why that is worthwhile. People laugh, people can kind of be together around this issue. And particularly since we're having these discussions afterwards, I feel like it's so much different than watching it alone in your home. Um, and the reason why we really pushed it out was, I mean, the timing on this, after having worked on it for a long time, is unbelievable because right now this federal budget that just passed, really demonstrates this issue. Um, and I think that, if we've literally just cut $1 trillion worth of taxes for the richest of us, and we're paying for it with $1 trillion worth of, Medicaid and food stamps cuts. Um, so I feel like we need to have a conversation as a country about these issues. These are choices that we're making. They're not divine, intervention. And we need to uh, better understand that, you know, the tax system is created to help some people and to hold some people back. And um, I'm not sure that Americans, want this trade-off at this point. I mean, we are wealthy enough that we do not need to be cutting social programs so that billionaires can have a little bit more.
There's so many funny elements in this, which is why I call it, engrossing and engaging. Is your dad is saying on the coupons, public transportation. I had to laugh. I had to rewind it because I found myself doing that. I ride my electric bike and take public transportation instead of driving all the time when I'm in Los Angeles because parking is $40. It makes no
Yep.
sense for me. I could just bring my scooter, take it up the escalator, and it doesn't cost me anything. I actually bring it to the man's Chinese theater when I've taken it on red carpets. If you've seen my stuff, and it
Yeah.
doesn't cost. So I go, Ma, I'm kind of like his dad.
Yeah. I mean, a lot, almost my dad was right all the time, which was, infuriating, especially as a kid. Part of his problem was his delivery. But, the reality of it is that, yeah, public transportation is what we need, but public transportation takes funding, it
Yeah,
takes taxes. And my dad grew up in the Depression, and he kind of used that mentality to become very successful because he took that cost cutting, that thriftiness. That's my dog. And applied it in the boardroom. But he also brought it home and, like, imposed it on his children. And I'm doing it to my kids. I mean, these are good lessons. My kids know to turn off the lights and to, not waste money and appreciate what you have. But you have to do it with a certain humanity and a certain uh, um, humor. And sometimes my dad got carried away. Um, but if you look at my dad's life, you can see that it really does parallel, kind of the American economy and over the century, from the New Deal to Reagan and trickle down to where we are now. And I think that if we didn't have this problem, which is we're losing the ability for people to work hard and move ahead, this American dream that my dad lived. If that wasn't a problem, then I'd say, who cares? Let them eat cake. Let the rich eat cake, and let everybody else work hard and get rich. But it's becoming harder and harder. The United States is now 27th in social mobility for industrialized nations. And I don't think that's a partisan issue, I think that all Americans want this to be a situation where it's a meritocracy. If you work hard and you have the skills, you can succeed. Um, so,
last two questions. Give you social media links for everybody so they can find you. And also talk about, do you think your dad in the end was happy that you became a filmmaker? Because as he would say, how are you going to make money from being a filmmaker? Because we have to laugh at that because he
yeah,
was right technically until the end, you
yeah.
know?
I mean, my dad, part of his obsession with the estate tax was, I think, he was dealing with his mortality. He was getting older. He wanted to be remembered. Um, and he the irony is that, this movie is going to help him be remembered, whether he likes it or not. I mean, I think he would be, I know that he was proud of me. I think he wanted me to be successful and wanted me to um, work hard. I think, he, as he wrote in this letter to me that's in the movie, had trouble being happy in his life. He had, there
Yeah.
were obstacles. And so though that letter that he wrote to me kind of gave me permission in some ways to make this movie. Um, I think he would love it. He would like it, particularly if it was successful. But that's my dad, right? Um, the social media, I mean, our website is deathandtaxesfilm.com. We're on Instagram and Facebook, and we're going to be, you know, uh, showing in theaters around the country, and then we're going to be streaming, in the late fall. So, my goal is to have some good conversations and maybe, change the way we think about taxes.
I'd love that. And then one last thing, got to talk about your mom. Your mom sounded like she's just an elegant woman, and I love that. And
Yeah.
and knowing how to diffuse him the best that she could. I thought that was great of what you did put in there. You showed us just enough.
Yeah. I mean, in a lot of ways, she's the unsung hero of the movie. I mean, she, um, really was the woman behind the man, and she didn't get enough credit. but she was so different from him. He was a lawyer. She was a dancer. She is a dancer. She's going to be 89 next week.
Wow.
She's still
Congrats.
dancing almost every day. And she appreciated him and helped make him a success. But eventually she said, I have to, stand up for what's right for me, which is a wonderful example for me as an artist. And as soon as she left him, he knew he had made a horrible mistake because, and he came crawling back to her because she is so special. So I'm very lucky to have had two different but, loving and interesting people as parents. So, I think you're also frozen again.
You were on two very loving parents.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So I didn't know if you followed up at all.
Yeah. One of the last things that I heard you say was on the two loving and caring parents.
Yeah, I mean that's, I just was uh, very lucky that as difficult as my dad could be, he was very loving, and my mom was very much a wonderful balance to his kind of toughness. So uh, I I feel very privileged, and I'm hoping that to make more films that kind of discuss important issues. And, I thank my dad for the ability to do that because, making films these days is hard and expensive.
No, and that's a great thing because I need to have you on our live show now.
That sounds great. I wonder if this is related to where I'm sitting.
Yeah. And then, did you press stop?
I haven't pressed stop yet, but I will.